Right. Welcome to another Core podcast. I'm Jerry Powers, and this is Linda Sparling. She's our special guest today. Welcome, Linda. Thanks for coming in. How long have you lived in Edgewood?
Almost 30 years.
Wow.
Way before we were a town.
Yeah, long time. So we are here to give you a bit of an update. We hope everybody had a great holiday season. Things are ramping up again now that the holidays are behind us. I want to give you an update on what's happening at the lawsuit that removed the mayor from office. As you know, Tom McGill and I had filed that lawsuit to remove him for profiting from public funds, nepotism, a few other things. But he was removed from the office of mayor as of October 14, 2020 officially. He kept coming back and tried to participate in meetings as late as November 2nd and had to be reminded by the judge that he had been removed on October 14. So they took an extraordinary step. Normally you would appeal to the Court of Appeals. They jumped the gun and went straight to the Supreme Court of New Mexico to try to overturn these decisions and have the Supreme Court take control of the case. The Supreme Court only hears 3% of the cases that applied to them because they're too busy. It has to be a matter of great public import. It has to be sort of an emergency. Well, they have applied as though it were an emergency under the premise, and this is stated in their pleadings, that it is an emergency and the town will suffer irreparable harm if John Bassett does not come back and into the office of mayor. So we think just the opposite. We think it'll be the opposite of that. So the Supreme Court will come back sometime, probably in the next couple of weeks, to decide that they are not going to hear the case, in which case he's still out as mayor and he has to go through the appeal process if he wants to appeal it. So that's an update on where we are there. Now, there have been a lot of things happening. This is a council recap of the council meeting on December 23rd, 2020. At that meeting, John Abrams, who was a councilor, has now stepped into the role that John Bassett was in, at least as far as running the meetings. He's the Mayor Pro-Tem, they call it, means temporarily, until all this gets resolved. So at that meeting, you saw the meeting, Linda. What was your impression of it?
Okay, first of all, on the meeting, there's 4 councilors, of which Abrams is one. That's not what we voted for.
Yeah.
We voted for a different kind of government, and I was under the impression that that was supposed to be happening. It's not.
Well, as you know, they are resisting anything to do with any change from their agenda. So they are resisting the transition from council to commission manager form of government, which 300% of the normal turnout showed up. 70%, a supermajority, voted for that, specifically as more of a referendum on how the town has been run. So we thought, well, when we removed the mayor from office, we didn't think we'd have to remove him, by the way. We thought he would probably resign when he saw the results of this election, but he hasn't. So when we removed him, we thought that would be the end of the corruption and this cycle of a hidden agenda, ignoring public input, suppressing public input, and hiding things from the other governing body members. Actually, it's gotten worse. I don't know if you noticed they have taken the pretense even of public input out by eliminating the public comment section on the agenda. There's no place anymore where the public can comment.
And that's the whole thing. They're having basically a closed meeting. We're allowed to watch it, but we're not allowed to put anything on the agenda. We're not allowed to make any comments. We're not, it's like the Howdy Doody show. I'm sitting here watching it and they're doing all of the whatever. And I am appalled that they don't seem to realize that they're supposed to represent the people of this town.
Right.
And we voted for something that we're not getting. And what we have no input into. I don't like it. I think it's wrong. It's like a little dictatorship is basically what I'm looking at here.
Yeah, it's being run that way. We used to comment in the public comment section that was on the agenda, and they would actually list the synopsis of your comments. So Linda Sparling spoke and she complained about the condition of Horton Road. That would be in there. Then they went to one step because we started calling them out and saying, well, remember on the minutes here, it says somebody made you aware of this, you've done nothing. So they don't want to be accountable. And what they did is they would say Linda Sparling spoke and eliminate your comment. So they were censoring and editing out your comments. Now you can't even make a comment. This is about as anti-democratic as it gets.
Yeah, it is. And the other thing, one of the other things that bothered me is that they're presenting financial statements to this group known as the council.
Right.
But they can't explain what the funding was for, what they were spending the money on. They're sitting there, well, I think it was for this.
Yeah.
Well, I need to check into that. Why on earth are we presenting financial statements without some kind of backup? That when they're, okay, you spent $4,000 and it was for what? Well, I'm not sure.
Right.
That's not how this is supposed to. They're asking the councilors to vote blind.
Right. Right. And that's the thing is the primary responsibility of and function of governing body members is financial oversight to make sure that the hard-earned taxpayer money is being spent the way it should be spent, that they're getting value for the dollar, and that there's no monkey business. So at that meeting, they asked him to catch up 3 months worth of approving financial statements. Only one got approved because appropriately, Councilor Abraham and Jaramillo asked for the backup. Asked for backup. I don't understand what this is for. One of them said task order. It was $7,500 to an engineering company and it just says task order. Yep. And they said, well, what's that for? Well, we're not sure.
Yeah.
So
they're spending my money right. And they don't know what they're spending it on.
Right.
Yeah.
So the council or the governing body has not taken steps to transition to the commission manager form of government. Not a single step that I could identify has changed over there regarding that. That's the will of the people expressed as a super majority, and it's not happening. Now they've taken out public comment entirely. You can't even express your opinion as to what you think as a citizen of this town. So now John Abrams has actually put himself in a very precarious position. We thought when we removed the mayor that the other two councilors, Hawley and Abrams, that have been enabling Bassett to do the things that got him removed from office, we thought all that would change. That the normal person would wake up and take notice and say, I better figure out what's gone wrong and start doing it the right way. Instead, they have gotten worse. So Abrams has now committed several acts that subject him to removal from office, just like his predecessor and his mentor, John Bassett. So one of those things is he's been canceling regular meetings that have already been voted on by the council majority to be held twice a month.
Right.
The state statute says that only a majority of the governing body can cancel a regularly held meeting. And there's a reason for that. The people's business needs to be attended to timely. It needs to happen regularly that are predictable, where people know when they're going to happen. So he's done that on his own and now is subject to removal from office.
I think that wouldn't be a bad thing. The other thing that I noticed from this last meeting was that apparently Councilor Abrams thinks that he is the king. He's the only person that can put stuff on the agenda.
Right.
I heard a councilor say, I want to put such and such on the agenda. I also heard Abrams say, I will put on the agenda what I deem appropriate.
Well, along those lines, our councilors, the councilors that are trying to uphold open and ethical government, Sherry Abraham and Audrey Jaramillo, have sent emails to John Abrams and to the town clerk saying, we want these items need to be addressed and they need to be on the agenda, because you can only address items that are on the agenda, that are posted so people know what's going to be discussed. So the answer was no answer. They just don't show up on the agenda. They don't say we're not going to put them on there. They don't say we are. They just won't put them on there. So effectively, they have eliminated the utility of two other councilors, their function, because if they can't address items that they think are actually, some of these are urgent that need to be addressed, and they're not getting documents, they're not getting the information they need to make decisions. They can't address the items on and put them on the agenda. So they've effectively completely eliminated their positions. They can't do their job.
Right. All right, that's what I said. Abrams thinks that he is the man totally in control.
Yeah.
And whatever he deems to be appropriate is the only thing that it's, and it's like, I'm sorry, but Mr. Abrams, we are the citizens. We are the town.
Yeah.
You are supposed to represent us.
Right. And how can a representative democracy is just that? You elect your representatives, they go represent you. So how can they represent the will of the people when the 70% of the people vote for something and they still won't do it? They won't put items on the agenda to get the people's business, what's urgent, because I'm sure people are calling their representative, whoever they get along with best or think best represents their interest. And if that happens to be Abraham or Jaramillo, then those items don't make it onto the agenda that people want to be addressed. So unfortunately, Abrams is continuing down the road that John Bassett took that caused all this problem in the first place.
Yep.
And we're still committed to open and responsible government in Edgewood. And if we have to go to the next steps in order to achieve that, that's what we're committed to doing. We're not going to finish until the job is done and until there's open and responsible government in Edgewood that's transparent and ethical. So that's our count. That's the update from the December 23rd meeting. You can go online at the Independent newspaper's website on Facebook and watch the meeting for yourself, see for yourself what you think about what happened. There will be another meeting on January 13th, and we'll do another council recap after that meeting to kind of keep you appraised of what's happened since and what's happening behind the scenes. So we appreciate you listening. We appreciate your participation and interest in your own town government. I'm Jerry Powers. This is Linda Sparling, and we'll see you at the next council recap.